I mean, that's probably a 75.
It's 4 o'clock on Monday, March 15th, 2021, and I will call this meeting of the Conway City Council to order. We are going to have an invocation and be led in the allegiance to the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by the Reverend Wallace Evans Jr. from a Father's Place. Reverend Evans, thank you for being here.
It's a great day in Conway.
Indeed.
Let us pray. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. You are most worthy of our praise and adoration, and we thank thee for life, health, and strength. Father, I come on behalf of this great council asking for you to make your presence felt as we deliberate on the many pressing issues facing our community. I pray for the agenda set before them today. You said in your word that if any lack wisdom, that all they had to do was ask, and you will give liberally, and you will not find fault, nor will you admonish us. I therefore pray for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Grant them a greater sense of discernment. Give them clarity of mind and clarity of purpose. And let them be ever mindful of their sacred duty to work on behalf of all the citizens of this great city. Bless the mayor, each council member, the administrator, the department heads, and the entire staff of the city of Conway. Thank you now for what you are yet to do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see you. Thank you. I just thought that I'd make a general announcement. You'll notice that many of the people in this room are no longer wearing masks. That has to do with a couple of things. Every person in this room has not only had a series of two vaccinations and have had their second vaccination at least 2 weeks ago. Some of us continue to wear a mask. We're reminded that even after having the vaccine, that there's a possibility that you can contract the virus and that you can spread it. But we're certainly making great strides towards a time when none of us will need them anymore. I will ask for a motion relative to approval of the agenda. Mr. Hyman,
So moved, Mayor.
thank you so much. Is there a second?
Yes.
Mr. Wright, thank you, sir. We have a properly seconded motion to approve the agenda as it is set forth. All in favor with a show of hands, please. And the motion carries unanimously. Similarly, what is the will of the council relative to the consent agenda? Ms. Tim?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan?
Second.
We have a properly seconded motion to also approve the consent agenda. All in favor with a show of hands. And the motion carries unanimously. We'll move now to item 5, public input. Madam Clerk, do we know whether or not, let me just ask you another question. Have we satisfied the requirements of the public information
We have.
requirements? Thank you so much. And are you aware of anyone who may be present or who has contacted you relative to public input?
I have not been contacted and there is no one present.
Wonderful. I then move that we close public input at this time. Is there a second? Mr. Goldfinch? Thank you. Mr. Emmerich? Thank you. Okay. All in favor with a show of hands, please. That motion also carries unanimously. We will now entertain a special presentation. Item A, or a series of special presentations. Item A is Employee of the Month from the Public Works sector for the month of February 2021. Mr. Jenrette, how do you do, sir? Good afternoon, sir.
Mayor, we have 2 employees a month, one from Reggie's department and one from Brand.
Okay, all right, very good.
Mayor,
both from that sector. I understand. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, how are y'all?
Very good. Thanks. Hope you are too.
Step forward, please. Ricky was hired on May 5th, 2015 as a heavy equipment operator one. He was promoted on February 9th, 2019 to a heavy equipment operator two. Ricky is always willing to go the extra mile for the solid waste department. He approached all aspects of the job with a positive attitude and without complaining. His work ethics is one we all should pay attention to. Ricky is always pleasant, always willing to help anyone, rather than it's a customer or a employee. Ricky will receive 8 hours of vacation for Employee of the Month. And Ricky, I want to thank you for the outstanding job that you did.
Thank you so much. And Ricky, if you don't mind, Brooke's gonna take a picture of you. She even lets you pose for it. Thank you, Brooke.
Mayor.
Ricky. Sure.
Hey, Reggie. Hey, Reggie. I want to, while you're standing here publicly, thank you for something. I think I did. The
Ricky,
rest of
don't
you heard
leave.
my story, but
Ricky,
you,
please don't leave.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
you haven't, and I want to thank you. Recently, you helped, got the planning department and Adam and you involved in helping a multi-generational family business in Conway figure out an issue. And they're so grateful. They're still talking about it. And that's the kind of customer service that we want to continue in the city. So thank you.
And that's not new for you, Ricky, but I mean, Ricky.
Reggie.
Reggie. But I know, but and we certainly applaud you for who you are all the time. But Ricky, I just wanted to say that that was a little cut and dried, but we really do value the way you work, because that's so important, and other people hopefully will learn from you. We're really proud that you are named the Employee of the Month. Congratulations. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, so good to see you both.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sean Doctor was nominated for the Employee of the Month out of the Street Department for February. Many of you may know him as Doc. Doc has been with the Street Department now for almost 16 years. He's always the first to volunteer or offer assistance when the most difficult jobs come up. He can usually be found cutting grass on a tractor, driving a dump truck, or with hip wetters on in a ditch or basically making repairs. Doc takes it upon himself to seek out issues, or it can be found removing debris from Tyler Basin on his own accord. Doc's attitude, work ethic, and dedication to the city of Conway are beyond reproach. Doc defines what it is to be an employee of the city of Conway Public Works Department. And with this nomination, he will receive 8 hours of vacation.
Mr. Sean Doctor, I just want to personally, on behalf of the council, to thank you for the way you work. If we had that in everybody, we'd have the best team ever. So you're a fine example for others to follow, and we value what you give us. Thank you so much, and congratulations. Item B is a discussion on request to rezone approximately 8 acres of property located at 2451 East Highway 501, PIN 383-110300004, and approximately 5 acres of property located at 2431 East Highway 501, PIN 110-40025, and to request to rezone from Horry County Highway Commercial to City of Conway Planned Development. Ms. Hyman.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, the adjacent parcel is owned by Ecclesia Church, and they have purchased these two parcels, which are the Millermont Technical College building and the Old Canal Industries building as well. And they want to annex into the city and make it part of their church campus. As you know, churches in the city of Conway over a certain size are required to be a planned development. So this is consistent with that request. But they included in your packet is their master plan document and PDD document that explains what their future plans are. I do want to make council aware, staff's been reviewing that document and has a few minor changes that we would like to propose, and we'll bring those back to you for the first reading. They're very minor in nature. Just things that'll make it easier in a couple years when these plans come through for us to review them. Just some clarifications there.
I've heard it said that among South Carolina churches that the Iglesias church is either number 2 or number 3 in the
Oh, really?
state.
Wow.
And that seems apparent given, their expansion of their campus, their physical space. So I'm sure you'll entertain any questions or comments from the council. Are there any? Yes, sir, Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor Catherine, what does that put any kind of impact on us, additional impact on, that's?
No, not really. Obviously, we'd be providing more services to them, but not in a way that I think it would be a concern. No one from staff from the TRC had expressed any concern over the annexation.
Mayor Catherine,
Yeah.
Combining the parcels,
Mhm.
is there going to be an issue with DOT and access or anything like that?
They'll have to get the appropriate encroachment permits, but from what I understand, they're going to use the existing curb cuts, and they're actually providing cross access
Okay.
between them that they
That's
don't
what
have
I was
now.
worried about because there's not one.
Yeah, and they actually submitted that already to us even before the annexation, and we've been working with Horry County to get it permitted for Easter services.
Great.
There seems to be lots of property for them to build, to do that access.
That's right. Yeah. But they wanted it before Easter, but since it wasn't annexed, we couldn't do it. So the county's been great working with us on that.
Ms. White?
What's going to happen to the college?
They are planning on leasing it to them for the, I'm not sure for how long. They actually said in the document, they think at least for the next few years. So they're not kicking them out now. They're going to continue leasing it to them until Millermont wants to leave.
Anyone else? All right, Ms. Hyman, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll stay alert for more.
Yes.
Item C is a discussion on request to rezone approximately an acre and a half of property located at 2644 Oak Street, 2652 Oak Street, and 2507 Culture Road. PINs 32515030033, 32515020019, and 32515020020 from City of Conway Medium Density Residential to Neighborhood Commercial, and request to rezone approximately 2.5 acres of property located at Cultura and Oak Streets, PIM 32500000012 from City of Conway Neighborhood Commercial to Medium Density Residential. Ms. Hyman.
Yes, and this is another change. They have promised me that this is the last change. I asked them. So I know this has been before you several times now. You may remember it was annexed and rezoned with the neighborhood commercial portion at the tip and R2 in the rear. Now they're wanting to swap some of that land to change those zoning lines so that there's more neighborhood commercial. Some of those lots on the edges will be combined with the neighborhood commercial, and then a piece of the neighborhood commercial in the back will become a part of the R2. Part of this is due to the fact that they had an updated wetlands delineation that changed their design for some of that single family. And also they were trying to limit the number of exterior lots on Culture and Oak. So this will get rid of a few of those lots. But I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Ms. Sims.
Maybe I mixed up something from some time ago, but I thought we were trying to do away with neighborhood commercial as a zoning group. Is it just in the downtown district?
I'm not, I don't remember trying to get rid of neighborhood commercial.
Okay.
Yeah, but that may, am I?
I had to change from.
It could have been a discussion, but it was
Okay.
before my time.
All right.
Mr. White?
What things could be put in neighborhood commercial?
It's, and I don't have my list right in front of me. It doesn't allow as much as highway commercial. It's really geared more to be located near residential developments with the idea of being, neighborhood needs and
I'm
neighborhood
going
uses.
somewhere with this question.
Right, where people can walk to it.
Yes.
That's the intent.
Now, my question behind that question is,
Yeah.
why then could we not have done the same thing or something similar to
Mm-hmm.
the Church Street and, what was that?
Spivey.
Spivey Alley.
That, those parcels were already highway commercial at Spivey, and it would have been spot zoning to change the ones in the back to neighborhood commercial, and they couldn't have been combined with the highway commercial. So that's why.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Sounds like the discussion is complete as far as we're concerned. We'll move on then to item D, a discussion on a request to rezone approximately 8¼ acres of property located along Medland Parkway, PIN 33808010001 and 33808010002 from City of Conway Highway Commercial to City of Conway High Density Residential.
Yes, this is a request to rezone with intent of developing townhomes. Just to give you an idea of where this is, to the north is the new Oak Tree Farm development that's under construction now. And we do have a sketch plan. This is still being reviewed by staff, so it's very conceptual in nature. But they submitted it along with the rezoning application, just to give you an idea of what is proposed. This is shown as highway commercial in the future land use map. However, there is R3. The adjacent parcel where Oak Tree Farm is located is zoned R3.
Thank you very much. Any comments, any questions?
I
Mr.
love
White?
this question.
Sure.
Whenever a person comes up with a plan that they want to do something with his or her property, do you as staff, not just you, but staff, have any input as in what they can do or should be doing or what zone they should have, all of that?
We do. A lot of times before they submit requests, they will request a meeting with us to get all the details and what the future land use map shows, what the UDO requires. So we try to give them as much information as we can up front. And that's why a lot of times we get these sketch plans because we don't charge a fee. And it helps developers if they submit this conceptual plan before they get into the engineered drawings, they can see the big problems before they spend too much money and get too far into it. So we really try to work with them early on to help them identify what's going to work and what's not going to work.
And again, I'm going somewhere with this.
No, you're fine.
The same instance on that same piece of property at Church Street. Why then were they not allowed or were they not asked to give a conceptual drawing of what they were going to put there?
They don't have to. It's not a requirement as part of a rezoning. It's just if they know what they're going to do and they want feedback up front, they can submit it, but it is not a requirement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does that satisfy the discussion for the day? I think it does. Thank you again, Ms. Hyman. Item E is a discussion on request to rezone approximately 11/100ths of an acre of property located at 1619 Church Street, a portion of PIN 33. Oh, that's going to be interesting. 33810030014 and request to rezone from Horry County Highway Commercial to City of Conway Highway Commercial. Ms. Hyman.
Yes, and this, you may remember a few months ago, the two adjacent parcels were annexed and rezoned to highway commercial for a future commercial development. And this piece will actually be combined and be a part of that commercial development. But due to contracts and sale dates, they couldn't all come through at the same time is the way it was described to me. So this one's the little caboose coming back at the end, but it will be part of the overall development. And it is a portion, but we're working through to make sure prior to annexation that it's parceled out. So before second reading, we'll make sure that it follows all the rules. And we've talked to Horry County about it as well to make sure it's properly done.
Any questions or comments for our staff? There being none, we'll move forward to item F. A discussion on request to rezone approximately an acre of property located at the corner of Pine Street and 13th Avenue, PIN 338-140100026, from City of Conway professional to medium density residential.
Yes, this request actually came before Planning Commission. It was over a year ago, probably a year and a half ago. And it actually, the request was for this parcel and the adjacent parcel to rezone from professional to R2. Planning Commission recommended approval. However, it was withdrawn before it got to council. Since that time, the owner has developed one of the parcels as a professional office building, but now he's asking to rezone the adjacent parcel for R2 for the intent as some sort of multifamily. And it was withdrawn at the time because some of the neighbors were concerned about it. So that led to his withdrawal.
I know 13th Avenue. Could you give me a sense of where Pine Street is? Please?
Yes, it's where Popeyes and Pizza Hut.
Yes,
You can
yes.
see in the top left corner, that's the Popeyes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
And they built a bunch of commercial pieces there.
That's right.
Project
That-
recently.
they just got CO'd.
Okay.
They'll be required to put sidewalks around the Pine Street.
Mhm.
When things come in pieces this way, like the original part, is a second notice sent out to the residents?
This is a whole new request, so it started over.
Okay.
But yes, that's a good question because there a lot of times if too much time has passed, but this was a completely new application and fee and everything was redone.
Good. Very good. Any more comments? I think everybody gets it. Thank you so much, Ms. Hyman. We'll move on to item 7, which is yours as well. First reading of an ordinance to annex approximately 1800ths of an acre of property located at 719 University Forest Circle, TMS 138-2601027, and request to rezone from Horry County Residential SF10 to City of Conway low to medium density residential R1. Ms. Hyman.
Yes, and this was a request with a change in ownership, but this is one that staff recommends denial of the request because we don't, as you can see from the map, none of the other homes in this neighborhood are in the city. I sent it to TRC, to the Technical Review Committee for comment, and everyone recommended denial of the annexation at this time.
All right. But for our requirement that this request come in, do you have a sense of whether or not this property owner would have requested? Okay.
They would not have it.
Okay.
It's a requirement when they
Right,
were
right.
moving the utility service.
Absolutely. I just wondered if there's going to be any backlash. Mr. Hyman.
Mayor, at the appropriate time, I would make a motion that we deny first reading.
Thank you, sir. I believe this is an appropriate time. Mr. Jordan.
Second.
We have a properly seconded motion to deny the request for annexation. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 8, consideration. A, consideration to purchase a replacement vehicle for the fire department. Chief Hendrick. Hello, Chief.
Chief, do you want to talk about what just happened to?
I was gonna cover my report.
We'll save it till later.
How are y'all?
Oh, you've got us on pins now.
Oh, yeah.
You have to wait for a little.
You gotta wait a little bit. Fire department's requesting to place a staff vehicle. We have $30,000 budgeted. We sent out for bids and 2 came back. Both were over 30,000. So come to your request approval for the overage. It's 34,000. It's actually 622. I got a typo at the bottom. It's for a Conway Ford replacement pickup truck. We can cover it in our operational cost.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I move we approve said request.
Mr. Hyman.
I would second Mr. Goldfinch's motion.
We have a properly seconded motion to approve the request for the overage of the purchase of this vehicle. Is there any discussion? There being none. All in favor of the show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much, Chief. We'll make you last next time since you make us wait. Item B, consideration of extending ordinance 2021-0201D, an ordinance requiring face coverings or masks to be worn in public in the city of Conway during the COVID-19 public health emergency and recovery with ordinance 2021-0315A. Mr. Emmerich.
I'm not going to go into excruciating detail on this one. You all know the mask mandate that we have in place requires masks in restaurants and in retail establishments. I will say our numbers are coming down dramatically. I have an update in my administrative report, but do we have that? Is it the next slide by chance? Can we make it? Can we get right about the thing? I can do it. I can do it. Just a minute. There it is. This is the chart showing the average weekly number of cases. We are at a low. It meets the lull that we had in early October, and it kind of meets before we started plateauing in June. So we have had some wonderful news coming out of the state. These are the statewide totals. Today in Horry County, we had 11 cases. So just to give you an idea where we are in the county, compared to almost 200 at some points at the peak that we had. The numbers are certainly coming down, and the guidance coming out of the CDC and DHEC is very encouraging. For the fact, the reason why some of us in this room aren't wearing masks today is because that is allowed under CDC guidelines, which is very encouraging. This mask mandate, as proposed in the packet today, is to push it for another 30 days, which would then align with our state of emergency declaration, and we would consider that at that time.
We understand. We'll open the floor for discussion. Mr. White?
Yes, I move that we continue this mask ordinance for the next 30 days.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Question.
Yes.
Can we just, and I'm amenable to that too, but speaking of guidance the state's putting out, can we, and nobody has a crystal ball and things can change and we have to be nimble and change too. And I think we're all flexible in that regard, but can we put out some guidance ourselves? Like, or assuming things continue on this trajectory, in 30 days, can we just let it go? Because every time, this is an important subject and we have to take it seriously, but every time we bring this up, it just stirs the pot, and you've got some people making phone calls every time, happy, unhappy. And so I certainly want to do the right thing, and I'm willing to second Mr. White's motion. If we can put in there that as things continue to get better and the most vulnerable, people in our society have had it or have had access to it, and within a month, that certainly would be the case. I'm referring to the vaccine. Can we put this in the rearview mirror unless things change that warrant us discussing it again and voting on other aspects?
I don't disagree with what you're saying in theory. I just think that the questions of what puts us in that position that we feel safe enough to never do this again, I haven't made up in my mind what that looks like or what it feels like. I would just fear saying anything that just says if we continue to go downward that we're not going to bring it up again. I don't want to tie our hands like that. I think, this council can vote on it any day, at any time when more information is available to us. And I think we're so close. I believe, like you, that we're closer than we've ever been.
I guess my question, and thank you, is are we waiting until there's zero case? And I'm not being sarcastic, I'm being serious. What is the criteria for, there's guidance out of the CDC today that they may be reducing 6 feet to 3 feet. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Somebody was saying that earlier. I don't know. I'm gonna stop right
Off the top of my head, I would say this thing we're calling herd immunity is the day that I will feel good saying. And there may be other things that could be said. That's my point. That's just one thing that gives me the comfort level that says that we can be around each other. And so many of us are immune or relatively immune. certainly immune to death or hospitalization, we believe, to relax what we've got in place. But I can't say that those are the only words that would precipitate me supporting you or that would cause me to vote completely differently. Ms. Timms, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. I feel like that what we're trying to say today is not yet. And I think that there needs to be a time that we can say, okay, it's all, you don't need to wear it any longer. I don't think anybody's going to remember how long ago we said not yet and calculate that in 30 days they can not wear it again. There's nothing wrong with us bringing this back up and looking at where we are and bragging about it if it's positive and commiserating if it isn't, and then go from there.
In that case, we still have a pending motion. I'll second Mr. White's motion. Is there any further discussion? Yes, sir. Mr. Jarvis.
With, and I know we've kind of discussed it a little bit with McMaster's ruling on restaurants. What do we do at that point?
All right, so there's two different schools of thought. North Myrtle Beach has withdrawn their restaurant mandate under the notion that because McMaster removed the mandate for restaurants, they're precluded from being able to do that. Before there was a mandate from McMaster, there was an attorney general opinion that said the failure to act on behalf of the state does not preclude municipalities from enacting a mandate. So I think there is that sort of that reciprocal theory that we could put a mandate in whether or not the state decides to act. There was a push early on, if you remember, from the governor for locals to do something. The fact that he joined in with us, I don't think precludes us from doing it, although there is a counter argument that it does. So
The Attorney General opinion is not precedent.
That's
It
correct.
has no precedential value.
That is
I'm not
correct.
saying one way or the other.
Right.
I'm just saying.
But it was also never disputed by the governor when that was going on.
Well, just to be clear then, what this ordinance is saying that we're proposing is that it will stay as is for 30 days.
That is
and
what
then
is
we'll
proposed
readdress
as,
it.
that's what is written and proposed, correct? Continuing as we've been doing.
And in 30 days, we will re-examine not only this ordinance, but the state of emergency as well.
The state of emergency also expires in 30 days. That's
Right.
correct. It will put them on the same track.
Okay.
Could we carve out the restaurants from this?
We could.
What I would say about restaurants is the only requirement is that when you enter and until you're seated, you wear a mask and
That does you
and
no
it's
good.
right, exactly. If you're free to take it off at the table, and we all do, then
What's that?
Right.
Well,
I wouldn't be
the
opposed to
thought about the restaurants too is, and I hate to get into essential, but if you don't want to go to a restaurant, you don't have to go to a restaurant. I mean,
Right.
it's not like
That's right.
Walmart or the grocery store or wherever.
That's right.
So I'm in agreement with Justin. It's a little different. And I've gone out to eat quite a few times. And I do feel silly walking in with a mask, walking 10 feet and then taking my mask off to sit. And there's somebody, this close next to me.
Right.
Yeah, we're closer. I mean,
And I'm en route to powder my nose, and I'm halfway there before I
Right.
realize I'm not wearing a mask.
And certain regions take this thing more seriously. Unfortunately, ours hasn't been that. In certain regions, like the waitress will not come to your table unless, I put my mask back on to take my order. And that, I'm not being critical or otherwise, I'm just saying.
Because I kind of like that actually, but yeah.
But nobody, very few people do it around here. And so is it much more than lip service is really all it is.
Well, Ms. Timms?
I just think that when we start carving out pieces and when we take a little bit of this and leave a little bit of that, we have a mask ordinance. What's 30 days? We've come a long ways, people, in a year. And if this can bring it down to 0, I would be thrilled. I'm not opposed to doing this, but then if you take the restaurants out, somebody else is going to start hollering because you didn't take them out. So I think if in the essence of trying to be fair to all people, we either ought to do one thing or the other.
So, and here my two sides talking.
Mhm.
One says you carve things out, you open up confusion. You know, I got to do it in the Walmart store, but I don't have to do it next door at, is there a food, yeah, at Mon Cafe Japan? Little iffy,
Mhm.
don't quite sure know what. So that part gives me a little pause. On the other hand, if the way to get this passed for 30 days, if the only way was to carve out restaurants, in that instance, I would certainly go along. So that's just how I'm conflicted.
Well, and the other way to look at it is regardless of what we do here at my office, I'm going to wear a mask. If you come in my office, you're going to wear a mask. I mean, that's,
Then
so
why would we not do this in a much more public place? I mean, I realize it's personal choice,
right.
but that doesn't make better sense to me.
Is there anything that is similarly situated that would cause any friction just in terms of the various kinds of merchants we have? Is there anything like a restaurant,
A bar.
a bar?
No.
But our bars, what's the situation with our bars open?
Bars are restaurants.
Okay.
North Myrtle Beach did what they did because McMaster specifically isolated restaurants.
That's correct.
So there's your clear distinction.
And I don't know, I mean, nowhere else well, shouldn't be, but walking around eating in Walmart. So, you know, I mean, I don't go to Walmart, so I'm just.
You don't try the grapes while you're walking down the aisle?
No, don't do that.
There's a motion on the floor, Mayor.
Yes. There is. I'm just getting the rest of the discussion in. Ms. Sims, go ahead.
On a comment, a lot of people haven't gotten their shots yet. If they're not the right age or whatever, we are 50% or more away from people being vaccinated. My son just emailed me, he just got his first shot today. So we're a long ways away, people. We got a ways to go, and we've done a great job, but we're not there yet.
All right, so in the interest of time, we have a properly seconded motion on the floor, which is to approve the mask ordinance as it has set for some period of time. I'll call the vote. All in favor of continuing the mask ordinance as it reads today for 30 days with a show of hands, please. That constitutes a majority. How many are against, please, just for the record? Mr. Jordan and Mr. Hubbard. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item B, consideration of extending, item C, consideration of a name for a new subdivision on Country Club Drive, Riverwood at Sherwood Forest.
Yes, and I think you all are familiar with this property. It's the former country club property. But the UDA requires that any new residential subdivision that the name is approved by city council. So therefore, I'm bringing it forward to you tonight.
So it is exactly that subdivision name, Riverwood at Sherwood Forest, that is up for our approval. Thank you, ma'am. What is the will of the council? It sounds like a bit of a tongue twister, but Mr. Goldfinch, go ahead, please.
We approved the name.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? I'll second Mr. Goldfinch's motion to approve that name. Is there any discussion? There seems to be none. All in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Won't be long, folks. We'll be out of here. Thank you. Item D is consideration of a bid package for a new marina lift station. Mr. Friday and Mr. Rogers. Gentlemen, please.
Mayor, council. We're looking to send out bids for marina pump station. We have a FEMA grant of $228,000 for some mitigation and replacement. The bid is, the estimate is $750,000, and I have a line item on the budget for a Sherwood Forest pump station and to replace it. And we can transfer the money from there to cover the shortfall. But, and it should, I feel comfortable it should come in under the 750,000.
And are you also certain that replacing the existing lift station is paramount to our control of whatever gets lifted there?
Yeah, both Marina and Shortwood stations are the stations in there. The Marina, we happen to have some grant money from it to move it up above Sherwood just because the money's there. And it will, it's if there is more flooding, it mitigate some of the station going underwater by raising it up about 2 foot. So.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments, Mr. Goldfinch?
Fraser, when you send something like that out,
Fraser.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. I know forever.
When you send something like that out, how many bid packages do you think you get back? Who does that?
We send it out through procurement. Ken generally sends it out. Some projects they have there's a lot of interest in, and we'll get quite a few bids on it. And some we just get the 3 or 4 in. It depends on how busy everybody is, I suppose.
I mean, is that a competitive field, or is that?
Yeah, it is. It's we have got 6, 7 bids from different companies on some of these lift station projects.
And I guess now that when you consider how prevalent flooding has been, in the areas near us, that with the provision of grant money or other money, that there may be other people in line to get lift stations and other kinds of mitigating pieces. Would you say?
Yeah, it may be. Yeah, it's there's a lot of construction going on right now, and everybody's busy.
Okay. All right.
If I can ask, John, if you can talk a little bit about the FEMA grant and how this project is sort of crucial in the next step of some of those things.
Yeah, and I'm here for the FEMA questions. That's why I'm here with James. If you remember when we got the FEMA grant, it was for a certain number of projects that have been damaged in our parks and recreation facilities. And since this is adjacent to a park, they considered it a park project instead of a sewer project. It is the last one on our list of those that they provided us a scope of work that we must complete. And if you remember, when we finish those, we'll have a pot of money left that we can spend on other projects. This is the last one of those, so completing it will allow us to move forward with those other projects.
Any other questions of either of our experts? All right, thank you so much. Consideration means that we make a decision this evening, I suppose.
Yes,
All right,
if
thank you
would
very much. What's the will of the council regarding a bid package for the new Marina lift station? Mr. Goldfinch? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I only see one side or the other. Ms. Kim? Yes, we have a properly seconded motion to approve this bid package for new Marina lift station. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Go out and do good. Item 9, City Administrator's Report.
My process in writing my administrative report usually starts with me saying there's not a lot of things to report tonight. And that's what mine did again tonight. And then I ended up with 8 things on my list. So I'm going to skip that part. My process in writing this, usually I take the last council meeting and I go through it and I update things that are on there. But one of the interesting things I notice is we've not met in a month because of the budget retreat. And it's amazing how much things can change in such a short period of time. When we first met a month ago, we were on the upward swing of flooding, and the projected crest at that time was 12.2. We ended up cresting at 15.61 feet at the Conway Marina, which is the 6th worst flood in the history of Conway. It was also the worst flooding in our history, not associated with a tropical system of some sort. And to the best of anyone on staff's knowledge, not a single home had water in it because of this flood. And that is a testament to the things that we've done in the last 3 and 4 years, 5 years, starting with Hurricane Joaquin in 2015, those measures that we've taken to prevent flooding. We hear a lot of times that the city hasn't done anything to control flooding, hasn't done anything to address flooding. And this is a testament to the fact that we've done a lot. Now switching gears. On Thursday of this week, March 18th from 2 to 4, the police department will host a drop-in to celebrate Selena Small's retirement here at the rec center. If you've not seen her in a while, I think she retired back in December, but they're finally having the drop-in here on Thursday from 2 to 4. I realize now I'm going back and forth between good news and bad news. We are expecting more rain this week, tomorrow and Thursday for certain. The National Weather Service is predicting as much as an inch tomorrow. However, there's not additional flood risk predicted. However, on Thursday, there is a risk of high wind, hail, and lightning associated with that weather. So just be prepared. We are still receiving details about the local government funds that are included in the stimulus package that was approved last week. We know at this time that they're fairly substantial, but we have not been able to confirm the exact dollar amount, nor have we been able to confirm exactly what we can spend the money that we receive on. So as I get more money, we'll discuss it. It would have been nice to have had this news 2 weeks ago when we were at the budget retreat, so we could have factored it into it. However, we're never going to complain about an infusion of funds. We just need to be able to adapt and be able to spend the money as appropriate. Our GIS department has mapped all of our traffic accidents since 2007. It's hard to see here. Let me see if I can use the little pointer here.
Which one's Cox Ferry?
Cox Ferry is not in red, believe it or not. Yeah, the what is right. Let's see. Can I get it with this one? Here we go. All right, so this area. All right, I'm sorry. This is Cox Ferry diving. You can see it's got a bubble, but it's green. This area up here is 16th and Mill Pond. It's one of the yellow areas. This is Walmart. This is Highway 378 at near Old Bethel. I don't know why that's one of the hot spots, but it is. This area here I want to call attention to between Mill Pond and 16th because it's always been a traffic problem. Since the development of Coastal Mall and all the fast food restaurants. If you think about that area, the last time I took account, and it's improved somewhat, there were 29 curb cuts between 16th and Mill Pond, which means you can come out of the road and then into the road right next door. Think of Arby's, Coastal Mall, Maryland Fried Chicken, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and then the road that goes back in their Cottage Lane. They're curb cuts on curb cuts on curb cuts, and they don't match up with across the street. In the center of that road is the 5th lane, which is it's a free-for-all zone that you can go out into, and you're trying to make the turn on the traffic. You can try to make a turn, and it becomes a real nightmare mess. At some point, we need to address the traffic areas there. It'd be nice to do a traffic study. As we have a traffic transportation plan that's going to be coming to you soon from the comprehensive plan. I threw this in here because it was done today. This is 2017 through 2020 with the heat index of all the traffic accidents. But I thought it was very interesting to see, and I wanted to bring it up to your attention. So things that we need to address going forward. This is one of them. I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank John Rogers for completing the application and interview process with the Municipal Association, which earned us an achievement award in public service for the opening of 3 customized playgrounds in the last year. Ladybug Park, a playground for all ability levels, is right out here. The rebuild of Sherwood Park, keeping with the train theme, and our new jewel, the paddle wheeler playground at Riverfront Park. Not only was this playground designed to withstand flooding, it was put to the test in the last flood, and it was proven to be successful. We pressure washed it off, disinfected it, and it's back open within a matter of days. The icing on the cake for that playground is we just received this today. This is the Play and Park Structures catalog from Playcore Company, and there is our playground featured right in the middle of the catalog as a customizable thing. The cool thing is if you scan this QR code, it shows you what the playground looked like before we replaced it. There is not a bigger night and day picture than those two. I guess when you're featured in the catalog, you are deserving of an award. So thank you for John and Ashley and Timmy and his crew for making that thing look great. My final thing to report is that we are working on an Easter surprise, sort of like the pumpkin trees, probably not quite as big of an impact, but it's something that we could do on a relatively short scale and a budget of less than $100. So we were going to put it up tomorrow, but with the bad weather coming on Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to put it up probably Friday morning and hope that it can withstand the wind. We're not quite sure how it's going to look, but we're going to go for it because the budget was cheap and we'll see how it goes. But keep an eye out. And let me just, without spoiling it, Kingston Park will be excellent when we're finished. There you go. And now, unless there's questions, I'd like to turn it over to our department heads for reports. Tonight we have our Fire Chief Lee Hendrick, followed by Ashley Smith, our Recreation Director. Yes, sir.
You worked on that statement all day.
What was between excellent or extraordinary? Yeah.
Extraordinary.
You couldn't say you're going to be ecstatic. What you say?
So Chief, is this the time?
Sure. It's hard to follow that one. I don't know. So on the way here, they had a report of a car that had gone into the retention pond at Wild Wing Boulevard. And they got there and the lady was in the vehicle that was sinking. They were able to get her out safely. So we like to always report the good news when we can. So they acted fast and were able to save a life today. So that's always good. When I reported in October, I kind of gave all of my details that I could think of in one shot, and I didn't realize I was going to have to do it again. So I had to get a little creative this time. But this going to be a little bit more boring than last time. But I wanted to kind of go through some of our call volumes and give you an update on our department. When I reported last time, we were still one person short. We're now full staffed. The guy that we just hired, he is now in the recruit class from Myrtle Beach Fire. So that's good news to report. However, we had one of our members turn in his retirement, not a resignation, but a retirement. Mark Miller is retiring June 8th of this year. He's been with the department as a volunteer since 1994, and he became a career member in 2001. So we're always excited when people get to that milestone where they can retire. So be looking forward to that in June for Mark. It's a pretty big achievement for him. We've loosened some of our restrictions with the fire department. With the coronavirus, we've basically been on lockdown for a year. And most recently, in the past couple of weeks, we've loosened it to the point we can get back to our normal rotation and get back out in the public and start doing our real job instead of, lack of better terms, hiding in our offices. I mean, we've been kind of trying to stay out of the virus as much as possible, but with our call volume, obviously that's almost impossible. But so we're excited about that. We've got a few things on the horizon for us, and we're looking forward to that. Kind of jump into some of these numbers. Is that my map or is that? Yeah. So this is just a map of the call volume for the fire service. Go back one. Yeah. So this is 2019. Just kind of shows you where some of the hot spots were. If you notice, there's two that are really, really dark red. One's out on Highway 378 and one's on 4th Avenue. Highway 378 is a nursing home complex. It's a Compass Rehab, and it's adjoined with Carolina Gardens Assisted Living. We stopped going to nursing homes for medical incidents back in 2009, but because of that being an assisted living facility, there's an increased call volume there, and it's actually increased more in the past few years because they now have 2 of the 3 buildings out there. So that's actually our hottest part on the map, and this is 2020. It's still red as well, but if you noticed, in the center of the city is a hot spot. So what I wanted to point out there is that by moving the public safety building to the center of town, it's put us right into the meat of it. So that was a really good move when they planned that out several years ago. So this kind of shows you that, there's a lot of thought and process that went into relocating that building. So it actually paid off because it put us right in the middle. I did run some numbers to find out what was causing the hot spot in the center of town. And the one spot that we went to a lot was 1101 Church Street, which is the Econo Lodge. We have had an uptick in overdoses in the past couple of years, and I think that's kind of driving force for a lot of this stuff. So that kind of paints the picture where we're running a lot of our responses. We're running almost 4,000 calls a year, so it's kind of spread out. So when you start seeing these red colors and dark yellows, that means we're going there a lot. So can't really see it, but what I'm trying to show here is our structure fires are going down. The structure fires are in the past few years, if you look in 2009 or 2012, I'm sorry, they were really high. We had almost 60 that year, and that's a lot. I will say that between 2012 and 2013, we changed the way we did some of our reporting, so I think that had something to do with it. But obviously, the structure fires are going down, which is good for us. But medical incidents are on the incline. Like I said, a lot of that's because of overdoses and just an increased call volume in general. Conway's a busy place, and you look at, we're running almost 4,000 calls a year. That's almost 10 calls a day, and that's a lot. So 2020, we started seeing a downtick. A lot of that was because March, April, and May of last year, we really didn't go anywhere. We just kind of, all of our call volume was low. We kind of stayed in the station, and we got back into it. A lot of that was because of the lockdown.
Lee, Mr. Hendrick, Chief Hendrick, we're going to calls where there's an accident. Is that considered a medical call as well? Okay.
It encompasses anything to do with medical. I'll put it all together because it makes it easier. Okay. So what I'm reporting. This shows the top line is all of our calls. The middle line is the structure fires, and the bottom lines the middle line's the medical, and the bottom's the structure fires. So you see that the medical is the majority of our call volume. So this is a pie chart that shows all of our calls, and I'll be glad to print this out and give it to you later if you want it in more detail. But you can see over 50% of our calls are medical incidents. So this breaks it down. We've always run around 1% of our calls are structure fires or house fires. When I look back into some of our reporting from 10, 15 years ago, and it was 2 or 3%. So still not a lot, but when you put it in comparison to now, that's a drastic downswing, which means we're doing a fantastic job of our fire prevention program.
Mr. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. Lee, on a given week, how many overdose calls might you have?
We're averaging almost one a day at this point.
Oh, okay.
So now sometimes it's 2 or 3 in one day, so it kind of shifts that average. But yeah, we're averaging 1 to 2 a day overall. We ran some numbers recently, so it's a lot.
You do a lot with Norcon still?
Man.
Do we have a supply of Narcan? So we're responding with that on
right.
Mr. White.
And we have a lot of repeat offenders as well. They're transient people that go from location to location. We're seeing multiple times, so it's unfortunate.
With your medical calls, is age an issue?
I don't know. It's actually it's anyone. It's good. All over. With the
I'm trying to eliminate myself from that
And with the coronavirus, we're running a lot of incidents where it's respiratory distress from that. It's the ones where they just can't take it anymore and they finally call for help. And because it is respiratory illness, they call for us as well. So that's been one of our upswings this year as well.
Thank you.
This shows the 2020 incidents by the stations. As you can see, the blue is station 1, which is our main station in the core of the city. So they're running over 50% of the calls of all the incidents. Station 3 is still lower than Station 2, but they're all on the increase. I reported last time that Station 3 in the past few years has seen a significant increase in call volume. So kind of throw that out there. Enough of that.
We had some talk not so long ago about, I don't really remember, the elimination of Station 3 or moving it.
We talked about moving Station 2 because of
I'm thinking 2.
Yes, ma'am.
3 is out near Lowe's, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's in a poor location. When they designed the building 20 years ago, it was perfect, but we moved the main station towards the core of the city. There's kind of an overlap. So we have been discussing some options there, and at some point it is going to have to be moved, or we'll have to get creative on some of our call responses.
Sure.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. We allocated some money a couple of years ago for a training center. We haven't really moved very far on it because a lot of the work that we started with on the new road project had to involve the wetland delineation. So I've got this map here. It's kind of hard to see, but this is the official wetland delineation. There's 26 acres, and they determined that 16 were uplands, which were able to develop. So this really is a good location. The only downside here is there's no water line to run a fire hydrant for our training from Creel Street all the way down into Pinecrest subdivision. It was going to cost $750,000 plus to run that line. So we've been kind of holding back because we wanted to see what the options were there. So it's kind of just placed the whole project on hold. I started talking to Assistant Chief Carter, and he stated that when they originally were designing the city shop property back in 2007, that there was a place on the site plan that showed a future training facility. So we started looking into that, and I've outlined this at the city shop property. That's 3.5 acres in the rear, and there's nothing there now. I think this is a good location. I think this will benefit as well. A lot of our costs were going to be a fence and a retention pond and a few other things, and all that's here. It's inside of our own property. It's on heavy industrial, which is better use for what we're trying to do. It gets it out of a residential neighborhood, and it saves us the $750,000 to $1 million on the water line. They will have to extend the water line here, but that's 400 feet. That's a lot easier than 1.2 miles. So this is kind of what we're shifting to. Hopefully we can get this approved and get moving. We're excited about it. This is a thing that we really need for not only for training, but for our ISO credit. So it's been kind of on the back burner for a long time. So we're really excited to get to this point. So just kind of want to bring that to you, that's where we're at. So we'll be working on this in the next few weeks to try to get the ball rolling pretty fast. We still got some kinks to work out. We got to hire an engineer and a few other things to do a civil plan. So we're excited. Any questions about that? That's kind of the better news of the boring data. Just a few things coming up for us. This is outside of the fire department. We're going to do our annual spring, summer emergency operations drill we always do right before the hurricanes that usually bring us bad luck, but we're going to try to remain positive. But we're going to try to do that around, I think, April, maybe into May. And our emergency operations plan that we revised a few years ago, we've been making some changes along the way. We need to do an official update on that. So I'll be bringing that back to you in May. So I'll entertain any questions if you have them. If not, that's all I have to report.
Lee, keeping in mind that kids may be watching this at home, can you recount over in recent memory, anytime, but recent memory, like the best story that you could share with us, like the funniest thing? Or
I have to keep in mind the kids, so I don't know. That's something I have to think about.
All right, you think about that. That's your homework. And next time, good story.
I mean, I can tell a personal story if that's, and this has been 25 years ago, if you want to hear that one. It's a quick one.
Sure.
So, growing up as second generation firefighter, I always wanted to be in the fire department. So I finally got the opportunity to become a firefighter. I finally went through my classes and was finally checked off. So, sitting around the station waiting for this call, and finally got the opportunity, and we responded out to Williamson Mobile Home Park on Highway 905. So all the way there, I'm really excited. It's the first time I'm getting to fight fire. So I get on the scene, and there's a little bit of smoke coming out. I put on my mask and all that. And Robert Jordan used to work here. He's like, "All right, you ready?" He said, "You need to go in there and put that fire out in the kitchen." I was like, "Yes." I'm all excited. So I go in. Well, hours and hours and hours of training, they never tell you that when you go inside, the first thing your mask is going to do is fog up. So mine fogged up instantly. So I thought that was smoke. I mean, I didn't know. So I'm crawling around on the floor, and I saw a glow, and they said, if you see a glow in heavy smoke, that's fire. Put water on it. So I started spraying. I was knocking the cabinets down, knocked the window out and all this stuff. And finally somebody slapped me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Putting the fire out." And they're like, "Well, wipe your mask off. Matter of fact, just take it off." No smoke, no fire. But there's a nice water damage where you can see the thing on the wall. So that's always my story. So. It's a good story.
Now, right?
That's our chief.
Got to start somewhere, right?
Thanks for sharing that.
You
could have chosen not to.
Yeah, that was the best PG story.
On a serious note, thank you for all you do.
Any other questions or anything? We talked about doing a scenario for a drought, so hopefully we can bring us a drought, but that's kind of a boring topic, so we'll try to. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And now for council input. Ashley Smith. How could I forget? Mr. Smith, how do you do, sir?
How are y'all doing tonight?
Really good. How are
I'm gonna
you?
be a little bit quicker than Captain. I don't have a lot of stories to tell you, but I got a lot of good news. Madam Mayor, Council, I'm excited to talk to you today about some numbers. Our sports numbers this spring, we broke a record for our department. We have 864 participants in our soccer and baseball program, softball. Just really excited to have these kids since 2012. You see, or 2017. 668, and it went up. And last year we had 797, but we had to give a lot of refunds because of the COVID. But this year, and it's all attributed to June Wood and David Williams. They've been out there promoting our product. BJ Tompkins, our maintenance guy, if you look around Springs in the Air, our fields are ready to go. We can play a game on them today. So my motto is every day is a game day. It's not just practice coming out here. So have pride in what we do, and we're definitely doing that. We're getting some a new press box and bathrooms. So a press box, concession area, and a bathroom. And with that, our bathrooms are dated in our old press box, and some of you parents have noticed that. So we're trying to catch back up and what we're doing. That was a PARD grant, and Roseanne and John worked hard on those grants and getting money coming into the city. So we're excited about that. That construction should be finished. The first part of it, the press box, should be finished about, let's say, April or May, right in that area. So we're excited for that. Our sports and fitness center, here we have over 46. Fix this right. 46 classes going on per week. Our membership, we're still trying to get members. We're losing a couple, but we are maintaining. We're offering different programs, no initiation fee, that kind of stuff to compete with the other gyms. We were awarded the 2021 Gym Fitness Center of the Year by the Oriental Independent. That means we kicked everybody else's butt around us. So we won that, and we take pride in that. We want to be the best, and that's what we're trying to do each and every day. Our swimming pool parties are coming back April the 9th, and that's when families will be able to swim. I'm not saying back to normal, because that's we don't want to get there, but we're getting there to where our lane swimming has been going for a while now. We're letting the families come in. Now you can have some pool parties, and that'll be extra revenue for us moving forward. Our programs, we have a lot of events coming up. We had to be kind of creative when we did our Easter egg hunt. So we're doing a do-it-yourself Easter egg hunt. Mammy, our programs coordinator, came up with this. So we've got eggs that are already in a basket. People will drive up. They'll get their eggs, and candy will be in the eggs. Also, we're hoping to have a mayor's egg. And usually that's about $100, $200 that's in the egg that she would donate in the past. I didn't put you on the spot, did I?
Not at all.
No, it's not that. It's not that. But we'll have stuff like that. We'll have bicycles, which there'll be numbers in certain eggs. They'll come and pick up their prizes. It's not what it used to be, because we'd have over 1,000 people with all of our fields, and we just thought that it's too early to have that many people running around. And if you've ever been to one of these egg hunts, and Ms. Timms, I know you've been to one, it's controlled chaos, more chaos than controlled. So we wanted to do something for our community. We'll have the Easter Bunny will be here. Tig, Chauncey will also be out here. And we'll send invitations to each and every one of you to come check us out and have some fun. We're doing a spring break camp, which is in conjunction with the Horry County Schools spring break. That is going to be April 5th through the 9th. And it's kind of it helps us get ready for our summer camp, our roar camp, what we call it. So we'll have up to 50 kids. We'll have activities going on in the gym. We'll do some field trips. We'll go outside. We'll do a lot of cool things so they can do something a little different, because a lot of them have been at home virtually. They're just going back to school, and I'll give them a new kind of to see their friends in a different environment. And with that, with our field trips, I wanted to tell you, in the past, we've used Horry County school buses, and we spent over $12,000 for an 8-week period to use their buses, with bus drivers and the mileage. Gary Lee from the Mason Temple, we've talked several times, and he's going to let us have buses all summer for $4,000, which, and it's, Gary Lee is first class, and what he's doing with our community and letting us use the buses, and we'll in turn do stuff for him and different things, programs, different things in that nature. So we're real excited about the partnership we have with Mason Temple. On another note, we're talking about, well, we're doing sponsorships, of course, which are, some small sponsorship. We got a check, and I mentioned it to Adam for $10,000. The guy wanted me not to say his name, don't want to be recognized, but he wanted to give us $10,000 to improve our place. With that and the John Mishu Memorial Fund, we've set up an account with Allison and we got to about $14,000. And with that fund, what we can do, if there's a kid that doesn't have shoes, gloves, can't afford to play, then, we can pay for them. If there's stuff out there we need, if anything, we can use that fund. And that's what we're trying to do with our sponsorships, trying to go out to these businesses and just partner with them, because if they have an ownership in this center, in our program, then it's even if it's $1, I think that it builds our community and it'll make this place better and make our community better.
Is there a place for personal sponsorships?
Yes, ma'am. That mayor's day. We'll come up, because this kind of happened kind of fast, and I'll get with Adam about how to definitely do it and make sure that we're doing it right.
Sure.
But yeah, there's different people that want to give money and just, I don't want to be recognized. And to me, that's good. They don't want a field named after them. They don't want this or that. They just use it for what you can use it for. We have some new cameras up during basketball season. You may not have known this, but we have YouTube channels for each court. Thank you to Jeff, who's helped, or actually I've helped him. He's actually done all the work. But we're putting cameras on all the fields on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all of them. And what will happen with that, if you can't attend your child's game, soccer game, football game, basketball game, you can go to this YouTube channel, which is on our website, and you'll be able to watch the game. So if if they have grandparents live in Pennsylvania and they never get to see little Shane run around,
See it now.
they won't see it now. But they'll be able to watch their kids, and meetings come up, things happen, life happens, and we feel this is a good way, an inexpensive way to show our product. And plus it doubles as security cameras too, because they're on all the time.
And actually, those are quality video because you sent me some links. So they're good.
Well, Jeff does good work.
Well, I wasn't giving you credit.
No, ain't no doubt. That's Jeff.
No, they're excellent, really.
So actually, what's going to happen when parents start demanding instant replay now that we've got videos?
Well, then that's when we have that personal account we talk about, the donations. And they'll talk to the Conway Tiger Radio Network. Okay, a couple more things. I know it's late and you're ready to go. COVID testing still going on. We also have vaccines. Last Thursday, I had 500 vaccinations here in our center. We stayed open. We did close the gym and the walking area. It went really smooth. Chief Long had an officer here in the traffic. We parked a lot of people back behind the senior center and this kept going. The only problem that we have is that you have to go on the DHEC webpage to sign up, and word got out that we were having the vaccines, and there was a little bit of a line, so that people would stand in line for 15 to 20 minutes and they would be upset when they couldn't get the shot. So that was the only thing. So I talked to their director. They're coming back here March the 25th and also April the 22nd. And to get their shots, you have to go to dhec.gov on those. So, and we don't really want to promote it too much because it's not our deal, because people get upset and, why didn't we get a shot, this or that. So we're just hosting it and making it real easy for people to come in here. That's all I have.
Wow.
I don't have any funny stories like Lee. And we were calling our econ an extravaganza, but somebody stole my stuff.
That's an excellent.
Same thing.
I've got a funny story for you about Ashley.
We can talk about that later. That's an executive session.
When he was in high school and I had to hunt my classes to read the exponents, they all laughed at me, and I'm just so happy to get to return the favor.
I would never have laughed.
Oh, yeah.
My deed depended on that. Mr. White.
Could you say anything about Smith Jones?
Right now we're talking to the CDBG people. We got a meeting tomorrow with Courtney, I believe her name is, with Ken Sin and David Krotz. And we're working on that. So tomorrow morning we'll have a meeting and I'll send it to you or get Adam to report on that.
Just a real quick update. We're in the process of hiring Civitas, who does a lot of CDBG work to help us with expediting the process and making sure that all the compliance issues are taken care of. So that's one step that we can kind of ourselves out of and make sure it's done right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you. And have a great night.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. Delighted to see you. Rather than go through those iterations that I typically do about who to call, Mr. Harmon.
Okay. I'll be very brief. It's so good hearing, everything that's going on here and the numbers being up and, having two kids and I know how this has not just been hard on parents, it's been hard on kids too. And it is good to have them able to come and play sports and use our facilities. That's great. Only other thing is to the staff, budget retreat was great. Thank y'all. I enjoyed hanging out with everybody, and I think we got a lot done, and I think everybody had a good time. And the mayor is brutal with an axe.
Yes. I'm adding it to my resume.
Both ends.
Both ends. We won't talk about Mary Catherine tax.
Other than that, Mayor, that's all I've got.
Who was it that couldn't hit anything?
Mr. Goldfish. We don't want to know.
I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I echo your sentiments, Alex, about the budget retreat, and I did enjoy both of these updates from both Chief Hendrick and Mr. Smith. And interestingly enough, most of y'all know I'm a former member of the Cold Hands Club, and just like his first call was Williamson Mobile Home Park. That was the first time I went out to. That's right. Yeah, sure was. So that's interesting. Yeah. True story.
Spray with the water.
Later. It was not a good situation.
Thank you, Mr. Goldfish. Mr. Hubbard?
I'll pass tonight.
All right, sir. Glad you're here. Ms. Tim?
I have two things. First of all, I was a little distressed by the overdose numbers. I guess I just was not as aware as I should have been, but that's a lot.
It is a lot.
And if there's anything that we should do to promote something that would help it, maybe that should be put on our list. We didn't discuss that. I don't know. The other thing that I have noticed, I think some of our banners that are on our street signs are fading. And I keep thinking about it, but not when it's time to mention it. So I finally got it at the right place. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Timms. Mr. White?
Okay, thank you, Adam, and whomever else that fixed the pavement on Highland Avenue. I drove through there just to make sure, and they said it did Friday. That was a good shot. All right. Also, secondly, the building that the Father's Place is presently in, that is a city's building, correct? Right? Yes. Just that we're leasing.
Yes.
They're leasing. I'm taking me out of the play. Is there any way that we could possibly have a mural put on the fashion of that building of the life on the hill, if you would, type thing, just like the railroad downtown? Could we do something like that about the businesses that used to be on that area?
Do you have anyone interested in painting it?
Not offhand. Just want to try to find out if it's a possibility even.
Let's check.
Okay. Okay. And Thursday is the most historic day of my life.
Oh, my.
My birthday.
Oh,
So
my.
y'all pray for me to not make it.
Oh,
21,
my.
right?
That's right.
All right.
Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you so much, Mr. White. Mr. Jordan?
All right. I'll just echo what everyone else said as far as budget retreat. I think things went very well. Had a good time. And Adam, I don't know if or anything that we can possibly do. Well, I know not from our standpoint, maybe you can push some buttons to traffic flow coming into Conway in the afternoons. The lights are
Main Street or bypass?
Main Street. It's brutal. I mean, I can stop at 90 at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and take 40 minutes there to hit the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. And it all seems to be those two lights that
We routinely ask SCDOT to look at those lights, and we will it's probably time.
Yeah.
They just didn't get the timing right.
Yeah. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe a petition by all of us. I mean, and a whole bunch of population too.
Until they do away with the turn signals, you're never going to see.
And those turn signals are the biggest issues.
Right.
You can sit there with no.
And those turn signals will come on automatically when there's nobody sitting
there.
awake. Yeah, and I reported that over a year ago. It used to be that if you were traveling south, you would it would automatically give an opportunity for a left turn whether anybody was there or not. Now I think it's when you're going north. I mean, crazy. And that's
Yes,
half of your 40 minutes.
absolutely.
Well, most places don't let you turn left at every corner. You know, you've got to go several blocks before you make a turn.
Mhm.
You sure didn't do that in Columbia.
That's right, in Charleston.
No.
All right. A citizen reported to me, the citizen's address is 1510 6th Avenue, just that there's a lot of speeding. I told her I'd make sure it got reported. I'd echo what everybody said about the budget retreat. What fun. What team building. I want me on your team. All right. We did good. I picked this up from a leadership class that I'm in, but the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond gave some information relative to COVID and the economy specific to North and South Carolina. And by surprise, South Carolina and North Carolina are doing much better than the nation at large, and South Carolina even a bit better than North Carolina, if you can imagine that. But the gross domestic product declined by 2.5% in 2020. There remain significant disparities among demographic groups, and that's pretty persistent, just in terms of how people are faring through it. I'm not going to read all of this to you by any stretch, but things that look really good in South Carolina, new home sales, would come as no surprise to anybody. And existing home sales, both of them, we're doing quite well with. I mean, numbers that exceed 2010 measures, and anytime since then, actually, it's just really skyrocketed. Same is true with home prices that we've had some talks about going just like through the roof. And South Carolina's fared better than the United States as a whole with regard to employment growth. Our recovery is remarkably better than that of the nation. We're doing better specifically in construction, manufacturing, trade, transportation, and utilities, and financial activities, Mr. Goldfinch, and other, whatever those things might mean, but varying from 5% to 0.5%. While the North Carolina unemployment rate remains close to the U.S. rate, South Carolina rate has diverged to lower levels. It's more similar to 2019, which is, again, good news. The biggest employment change statewide has been something that Horry County is the exception for. When you consider how strongly we are impacted by everything about the hospitality industry, and to say that we've saved jobs better than most is a little bit difficult to explain, but it's a good thing. But with respect to employment, still, women, minorities, the young, and the less educated have all fared worse. The gains of the past few years, or even the past few decades, have pretty much been erased. And we're leveling out again. And those are just some of the particulars. I've got the entire report if anybody wants to see it. We've had a good meeting. It is 5:24 or so. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn, Mr. Goldfinch. Thank you so much, Mr. Ryman.
Oh, second.
We have a probably seconded motion in the midst of a yawn to adjourn this meeting. If all hearts are clear, all in